I want to kick things off with, first of all, for those of our listeners that are not familiar, what is ultra speaking?
Ultra speaking is a new way to think about speaking. Public speaking in general, but really we always ask the question, what's the difference between speaking and public speaking? Because the more we study it, the more we realize the difference is mostly in your mind. The stakes, the pressure, how we treat the audience, everyone has a different relationship to it. But what we've noticed that's most interesting to us is that people already speak really well in the right context with their friends, when you're at home, when you've had a couple of beers, like we already have those skills, and yet something changes when the pressure rises. And ultra speaking is the study of what those changes are and how can we return back to this feeling of normality, this feeling of ease, because at the root of it, speaking is so fun. It's like dancing, it's like drawing, it's like surfing, it's a flow-based activity. And so ultra speaking began as this research project, and now it's a school. It's a community of people learning how to improve their speaking skills, and everything comes back to what is the root of communication? How can we go back to that human to human flow state of conversation, and how can we access that in moments that feel difficult or pressure?
Flow plays such an integral role in how you train people to speak. So can you explain a little bit about how flow fits into your ultra speaking principles?
Well, I think it's at the root of it all. And it may have been one of the first discoveries, if we can call it a discovery, that we made along the way. And that is that speaking is a very subconscious process. Mm-hmm. But as soon as we feel pressure, we want to turn it into a conscious, mechanical thinking process. Yep. So anybody who's ever felt pressure speaking knows the feeling of somebody asks you a question or you're on a stage and suddenly your mind goes into hyper mode. And you're judging everything you're going to say before you say it. You're trying to create fully formed phrases in your mind before they come out. And then the more you do that, the more the voices get noisy and the harder it becomes to access your own content. And suddenly you can't even remember the most basic ideas that would be so easy to express were you not in this state. So what we've discovered is, well, when we studied speaking, and if anybody really thinks about what speaking is, when it feels good, it has nothing to do with the words. It has nothing to do with what is coming out of your mouth, really, when you think about the state or the feeling you should be tapped into when speaking. And what that is a state of presence or a state of flow. Or you're just either tuned into the person in front of you, or you're tuned into an insight, an idea you're trying to convey, a story, a memory. And when you come back from a weekend and you're sharing this crazy thing that happened to you to someone you feel comfortable with, that's all you're really thinking about, is you're just trying to remember every detail of what happened to you and seeing if you can convey it in as truthfully as possible. And if you're trying to express a complex concept, it's the same idea. You're just trying to tune into this concept and you keep coming back to the concept. When speaking goes wrong, it's when we forget to tune in, where we stop tuning in to the thing we're trying to express, and we start thinking about the way we're expressing it, or if we're making any sense, or start judging ourselves. But if you're in this state of flow, you know, because you're not thinking about the words. The words are an after effect, a secondary effect of being in the right state. They just flow out and you almost discover them as they're coming out of your mouth.
If what you've heard on Flow Research Collective Radio has been helpful, please consider doing us a solid and leaving us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you are listening to this. Reviews help us connect to a wider audience so we can get these peak performance principles out to more people.